If you're looking to start a weight loss journey, it can seem a bit confusing sometimes. In this video, I'm going to share the most common mistakes that beginners in their 30s and 40s make when they're trying to lose weight. Hi, it's Ivana, helping you get fit, healthy, and strong at any age. Now, I specialize in working with people in their 30s and 40s, and there are certain things I notice when someone's a beginner and they're at the start of their weight loss journey. I want you to be able to do this right from the very beginning. So here are some of the mistakes that I've seen beginners make, and hopefully you can avoid making them too. The first one is focusing on the wrong things. About 90% of your weight loss results are going to come from the total calories that you eat in the day and how much protein you take in. But beginners often get caught up in things that don't really matter that much for weight loss. So it can either be excluding things like, should I quit carbs? Should I cut down on sugar? Should I reduce my fat intake? Should I cut out gluten? Or it can be including things that aren't really that impactful for weight loss. Things like supplements, so-called superfoods, or even organic foods. Listen, if you're in your 30s and 40s, you're probably very busy and you really need to prioritize the things that matter. So don't get caught up in all these complicated things that you'll often see in the media. It's not important. Focus on the things that matter. The next mistake is following the latest trendy diet. Now, right now, intermittent fasting and the ketogenic diet are
so hot right now.
You're hearing a lot about those diets in the media, and you must be thinking, oh, is that what I should do? Is that the thing that's finally going to help me lose weight? And it's really tempting when everyone's talking about it and celebrities are going on and on about it, and your favorite sporting heroes perhaps
I was kind of on it before the trend
are telling you that it's the best thing to do. Just because Tim Tebow is doing the keto diet doesn't mean that you have to as well. It basically comes down to this. If you produce a calorie deficit, then you're going to lose weight. And you have to find the way of producing a calorie deficit that makes the most sense for you. So if you love carbs, I don't know why you'd want to do the ketogenic diet because you're not allowed to have carbs. Now, of course, you can lose weight with intermittent fasting or with keto, but all I'm saying is that you don't have to. I like having food in the morning, and I like carbs, whether it's potatoes or sushi or ice cream or chocolate. Nothing any celebrity or sports star says is going to change my mind because I'm already achieving my goal of maintaining a healthy weight, having a balanced, fun life that includes chocolate. And I get to enjoy the pleasures of Ben & Jerry's and a couple of beers once in a while. The next mistake is not prioritizing strength training. I guess there's the impression that if you want to lose weight and you want to lose fat, you should do cardio. And if you want to get jacked and build muscle, then you should do weight training. And this is changing, and I've noticed it change over the past decade or so. Weight training has become a lot more popular because people have realized that you're not going to get big and bulky like a professional bodybuilder just because you do 2 to 3 weight training sessions a week. Believe me, they work very, very hard, and of course they have enhancements as well in order to achieve that huge size. It's not that easy to build muscle, so don't worry that you're gonna accidentally end up looking like a professional bodybuilder just by doing some weight training. When you're in your 30s and 40s, it's really important to prioritize building muscle. If you're not doing any strength training, you're gonna start to lose that muscle over time, and you're not gonna like how it feels. Weight training also helps you build bone density, which is gonna be really important when you get into your 50s and 60s and 70s. Being strong and having good bone density is going to massively affect the quality of your life as you get into your golden years. And you might not be thinking about that right now, but it's important. The confidence that comes from lifting weights and being able to do body weight exercises that many people half your age can't do, that's pretty useful too. It gives you the motivation to continue with your nutrition plan, which is where most of the weight loss result is going to come from. Another mistake that a lot of beginners make is that they try to burn off the calories that they're eating with exercise. Now, if you spent any time with MyFitnessPal to have a look at the calories of certain foods, particularly your favorite treat foods like donuts or muffins, you might have been surprised to find out just how high in calories these things can be. And if you've had a look at the calorie burn of particular exercises as well, you might have been quite disappointed by how little you're burning off in terms of calories. This is why if you're trying to produce weight loss, it makes much more sense to focus on the nutrition side of things than trying to drastically increase your physical activity activity level. If you're in your 30s or 40s and you haven't been active before, or you haven't been active for a long time, trying to work out every single day for a couple of hours is just going to burn you out. You're going to be in pain and you're not going to be able to keep it up. Try to focus on the calorie intake rather than thinking about what you're burning off every time you go to work out. The other thing that I don't really like about it is that it kind of gives you a negative association with exercise. So you're basically punishing yourself for what you've eaten, and that's a lousy way to treat exercise. I really think that exercise should make you feel stronger and fitter and more energetic, and you want to learn to appreciate how it makes your body feel. Now, I realize this doesn't come naturally for everybody, but I found working with so many people that even people who are not very athletic at the beginning eventually learn to love at least how the exercise makes them feel, if not the process itself. So let's keep that positive association with exercise and not think about it as a way to burn off calories. Another mistake is changing your meal frequency unnecessarily. So we used to think that eating multiple times a day would sort of stoke the fat burning furnace, or I'm not sure what we used to say, that the more often you ate, the more thermogenic your body would be and you'd burn off more calories. The research doesn't seem to support that. When calories are equal, it doesn't really matter whether you're having 2 meals a day or 5 or 6 meals a day. So a lot of people think, oh, if I want to lose weight, I have to go back to 5 or 6 or having small meals more frequently, but that doesn't always work. It isn't the ideal plan for everybody. If you're going to have fewer calories while you're eating only 2 meals than if you were eating 5 meals, then you're going to be more successful with 2 meals, and that's what you should do. Remember though, if you have 2 meals and you have a big gap between lunch and dinner, and then you feel ravenous by the time dinner comes around and you're having huge meals and it's going to bring your calorie intake up, or even worse, maybe you've got cravings later on in the evening and then you're going to eat a lot of treat foods. You're going to be in there rummaging around trying to find some chips or some chocolate late at night, and that's going to bring your calorie intake up. Then 2 meals a day is not ideal for you. For some people, it'll work. They'll be able to maintain their calorie intake with just those 2 meals. Other people won't be able to manage their appetite, and then they're going to end up in a calorie surplus, therefore putting on weight. So it's important to know which one you are. I work with my clients sometimes over a period of months to figure out what frequency is ideal for them, what gap between meals is going to do the best job of controlling food cravings, particularly carb cravings, and those that happen later at night. So it's a process. Figure out what works for you to maintain a calorie deficit. One mistake I see, not just beginners, but pretty much everybody make, is judging foods as either good or bad. So you set up this dichotomy where I can have this if I'm being good and I can't have this. There's no reason why you have to do that. There's nothing inherently bad about carbs. They provide energy and fuel. They have fiber. There's a lot of benefits to carbs. Sugar is not the devil. Processed foods, while you want to have a smaller amount of processed foods compared to whole foods, there's nothing that switches over and as soon as you have one processed food, all of a sudden your whole diet is a disaster. You can have a little bit of processed food every day, but if the rest of what you're eating, let's say 80%, is whole foods, vegetables, and proteins, then you're still going to be successful with weight loss, and it is a healthy diet. There's a place for processed foods and sugar in a healthy weight loss diet. And you certainly don't need to ban gluten or dairy unless you have those specific intolerances. And here's the biggest mistake I see beginners in their 30s and 40s make with weight loss: making drastic changes in their diets and workouts. Many people go from being sedentary and eating tons of processed foods to trying to eat chicken breasts and broccoli and working out every day. Now, this doesn't make any sense. This kind of all or nothing principle really doesn't work. And it's something that I work with a lot of my clients on, because often we think, oh, I'm gonna go on a diet and start exercising, and it's all these big things that you have to change, and it has to change at a particular point. You're gonna be like, oh, the diet's gonna start on Monday and I'm gonna go to the gym every day that week. And it doesn't have to be that way. In fact, if you wanna be successful, you need your nutrition and your workouts to be sustainable for you. They need to fit into your busy lifestyle. You need to include the foods that you enjoy on a regular basis. A gradual approach is the most sustainable approach. And that's what I believe in. What's the point in losing 10 or 15 pounds if you're just gonna gain it back again? Nothing's really changed. And the reason for that is up here, because weight loss actually becomes more of a mental thing than anything else. You need to believe that you can do it. You need to have the right strategy. You need to not be afraid of certain foods. You need to not be afraid that taking a few days off from working out is going to make everything collapse. You need to have confidence in the process, and you need to follow through on the system that you're using. Weight loss isn't as complicated as most people think. Many beginners are reluctant to start on their weight loss journey because it feels overwhelming. They think they have to do so many things, but you really don't. It all starts with a single step. The first time you turn down that second serving of dessert, the first time you do a workout, even if it's just a 20-minute workout, it all matters. Every little step reinforces that process in your mind. And you don't need to make a lot of these steps. It's all about consistency. If you can be consistent with small changes, in the long term, you're going to be much more successful than someone who tries to do something very drastic that they can only maintain for a short time. I believe in a gradual and sustainable approach, changing a little bit at a time so that it works for you. And you hardly even notice the change. Now, it takes longer, but if you want a long-term result, I think it's really important that you do it the right way. So I hope you like the sound of that approach. If you do, hit the like button below. And if you want more guidance on your weight loss journey, please check out the videos I've linked here.